Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel Packed Out. Now, a question I get asked all the time is which grading company do I think is better? Who should I grade my cards with? So we're going to look at 4 different grading companies today and compare them up against each other. And believe it or not, it's harder to pick than you might think. Okay, so in front of me, we have got 4 different companies that offer grading services. These ones are the most typical ones that you find in the UK. There are other ones in America, for example, like TAG, CGC, SGC as well. But we're going to focus on these 4 today for this video. Now, if you're thinking about grading your cards, you need to consider the reason why you're grading those cards in particular, because the reason will have a big impact on which slab or which company you'll use. And often I get asked the question, which company do you think I should send these cards to? And honestly, I need to know more than that. I need to know where you pulled the card, what it means to you, are you planning to sell it, things like that. And if you're going to display it or not, because that can make a big difference on the company that you pick. So let's look at some scenarios, right? Let's say that you pull a card, you have no attachment to this card, you know it sells for a good value, and you know that if you grade it, the graded value, if it's a good grade, will come back stronger and you'll be able to sell it at a higher value as well. If that's your only priority, then you probably want something that's going to be very recognized in the card community, maybe something like PSA or Beckett's, right? Let's go for another scenario. Let's say you pulled a card, it was your first card you ever pulled, there's no massive value on it, but you want to keep it pristine and keep it in your collection. Maybe you go for something like MCG or Ace, right? You want the nice label, you want something that's going to stand out on the shelf, maybe a colour match to really pop that card out. Now, what's going to make the most sense to you guys is if we go through each of the slabs individually and say their pros and cons and just talk about them a little bit. So let's start off and have a little look at Majestic grading company. So we've got a really nice card here. So we've got not the most expensive card, I'll be honest. It's a PSA 9 X Lenser for Logan Sargent. You can probably buy this for around about 20 quid, maybe less. So the cost of grading a card with Majestic varies, but the cheapest you can do it is like £12.99. So the card really is only worth £7 if you're assuming the grading value of this. But as for the actual features of the company's Majestic. They are based in Stevenage in the UK, so in Hertfordshire, which is nice and close to me, so I can even drop my cards personally to them if I want to. The services that they provide, they've got bronze, silver and gold, different turnaround times for each and different prices, right? So the bronze is £12.99 and usually a sort of 2 to 8 week turnaround. You've got silver, which is £22.99 with a 14-day turnaround, and you've got gold, which is £40, but you get a 3-day turnaround time. So this is very typical in all grading companies. The more you're willing to pay, the sooner you'll get the card back. And also in some companies, the insurance will be covered for more if you spend more in sending it to them. Now, as for the actual slab itself, we've got this sort of blue, sort of little bit purpley border around the edge. We've got the logo here, the explanation of what the card is, its unique number here, and the grade. Now, my personal opinion, I'm not the biggest fan of the front label of this, which is why I don't personally have too many of these in my collection, but some people do like them, and honestly, the turnaround times and the price is not too bad. But one of my favourite features about this product in particular is on the back here, we've got this secure technology here, right? So if you put your phone up against this, it will scan, open up the authentication on the website so you can check that this card is a real card. Which is a great feature. The others have also got authentication, but it's not something you can physically touch and use the technology. And I personally really like that about this company. Other bits on the back, we've just got their sort of stamp here, their genuine stamp that they've got, so you know that's official as well. And that is pretty much all there is to say about Majestic. But I am going to give it a rating out of 10 for the company, and I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10, especially if you're in the UK, right? So you can send them to them quite easily. They have good turnaround times, not a massive backlog because they are a slightly smaller company than somebody like PSA. Reasonable price, and the technology involved is fantastic. Okay, so next company, let's have a little look at Ace Grading. Now, Ace Grading's been around for around 2 years now. They're located in Oxford and Banbury, UK. But their features are quite unique compared to some of the other companies, right? So this one, for example, this obviously came back a Gem Mint 10, which I was very happy about. But we have a different label type on this one, right? We've got a colour match label. So this is the custom color match label, so it's a little bit more expensive than just a color match, but you can see they've actually used the design of the card in the banner here in the label, and that is a very unique feature. Some cards look good, some cards don't. It's personal preference. Some people really don't like these labels and think they look a little bit tacky. They're a big Pokemon company, but they also accept sports cards now, and I personally think the X lenses, these cards, look great with this little border around them pattern. So I'm a big fan of Ace Label. I have submitted with them multiple times. The service is really good. You get email updates at every possible point to know what's going on, and yeah, I just think they're a good company that's well run. Now, Ace Grading were on the news recently because they got broken into and a lot of the cards got stolen for submissions. They did pay out insurance on that. They handled it very well, and I wouldn't be worried about submitting with them because of that at all. You know, they've upped their security since that point of view, so no problems there. But let's have a little look at the actual card and the slab itself. So you can see we've got the number on the right here, so you know exactly what it is. You've got a nice font, you've got a good description about what the card is. So if it's a parallel out of 49, for example, for this one, they take all sorts of cards, so any thickness. So you've got the Relic here, for example, which is a thicker card, but nice to see that they do that. And on the back, you've got the authentication, so you've got the QR code, the stamp, and their label in the middle as well. And I think these are really nice. Now, what I will say is I have had cards where the cards have been loose inside here. So I had a really, really thin card, and it was just shaking around when I was moving it like this. But hopefully that's something that they can sort out if you're not happy with it. And this is definitely one of those cards that if you like the label, you display it for yourself, right? You put it on a shelf, you like how it looks, and this is that kind of label because it looks a lot better than something like this, in my opinion. Now, as for the pricing of Ace, so it'd be £10 per card for a basic card, £12 for a standard, and £15 for a premier, and £25 for a ultra submission. So obviously the difference in there is your business days and turnaround as well, so 30, 15, 5, and 2, and that's the main differences in that. You've also got the option to have different labels with your submissions. So for example, you can have a standard free label, so you don't have to pay for it. You've got a colour match label, or you've got the Ace special label, which is the one that I've got here. And overall, I'm going to give Ace Grading a 8.5 out of 10. The turnaround time is really good. The actual process of submitting is really easy, and I think the labels look great personally. Some people might not like them, but I think overall 8.5 is very, very fair. Now up next, we have got the most common one that you will see. If you're new to grading, you will see this slab a lot. So this is PSA, right? So Professional Sports Authenticator. They're based in America. So if you are from the UK, you will have to send your cards abroad. And there's a number of different ways you can do that. You can do it yourself, but if you do that, you are going to have to pay obviously some taxes and the shipping cost as well, which is why people use like a middleman service where they bulk send loads of cards and you don't have to worry about any of that at all. So that's the best way to submit to PSA, in my opinion. Now, if you're planning to send cards frequently to PSA, then you might want to become a member, right? They have a membership for $150 per year, and that allows you to send cards at a cheaper rate, right? So they've got a value bulk at $19.99 and $16.99 for the TCG bulk as well. If not, it's going to cost you $24.99 for value, and then they have some really expensive services as well, so you can go all the way up to £599, and that obviously insures the card up to $10,000, and that's 5-day turnaround time. So it really depends on what kind of card you're sending and the value and how quickly you want it back as well, right? It's the same with all these companies, they offer different services. And if you are interested in submitting cards with PSA, I am going to be uploading a middleman service video in the next month, which will show exactly how to do that, because it is the best way to do it if you're from the UK. And as for the label, it's a very sort of typical label, right? Very similar to kind of the border that you get on the MGC card. Obviously, you've got the grade here, Gem Mint 10, what it is, the value, and it's very similar to Ace on the back. They've got their logo, they've got the QR code, the number, and the authentication on the label as well. So very simple design with PSA, in my opinion. And if I was to give PSA a rating out of 10, the majority of my cards are PSA, right? So I think I'm going to have to give this a 9 out of 10. If you're someone who wants to sell cards on and preserve them, I think this is the best option for you. Obviously, being such a big company, there are fakes of PSA and it is the most common, but I haven't seen too many in the F1 card community, so you should be pretty safe, to be honest. And last but certainly not least, we're going to have a look at Beckett's, and we've got this really nice Lewis Hamilton in the Mint 9 that I've graded myself. Now, Beckett's has been around for quite a while. It's one of the sort of well-known companies, but as for actually grading, I think PSA is well overtaken it in terms of like slabs, especially in Formula One, that gets submitted, right? But Beckett's do offer this really nice sort of subgrades that you can get on your cards. So for example, the centering, corners, edges, surface, all that good stuff. Now, as for pricing, it's $14.95 for the base cards, very similar to PSA in the turnaround time, so 45 days plus. But you can also do like the standard submissions, the express, the priority, and they're all fairly reasonably priced as well. Now, one unique feature about Beckett's is they offer a pristine 10 label. So for example, this is a 9, but you can get it in a 10 as well, and that's sort of the equivalent to like a PSA 10 as well. But if you get a pristine black label 10, it's worth a hell of a lot more than a PSA 10. But you have to make sure you have a perfect card for that. I wouldn't be submitting to Beckett's expecting to get anything like that. Now, as for a rating for Beckett's, I'm going to match PSA. We're going to say a 9 out of 10 for Beckett's. But guys, do let me know which companies you're planning on using in the future and which ones you like the best out of these. And that is it, guys. Do let me know who you're going to grade with down below, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. Bye bye.